Good evening. Welcome to Made in USA, episode 4. Welcome back. So this episode is going to be a little bit different than episode 3. I know episode 3 was kind of more like an old-fashioned bitch session, but this episode is going to be a little bit different and a little bit more important. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you a story from history. And it's going to tie into what I'm talking about. Actually, I'm not going to tell you the title card, I guess, of what I'm getting at without me telling the story first. So what we're going to talk about today is the Edmund Fitzgerald. There's some of you, what the hell is that? I don't know what that is. The Edmund Fitzgerald was an American Great Lakes freighter, and she was launched June 7th, 1958. And she was the greatest, just one of the greats. I'll just say that. And of course, one of the most remembered. And people who know what I'm talking about, they obviously know. And they know the song by Gordon Lightfoot and stuff like that. It's a banger. But the Edmund Fitzgerald, she was a Great Lakes freighter, and she hauled taconite. These are little round pellets, and they manufacture. They're fired to manufacture steel. So, anything metal around your house that's made in this country anyway, it more than likely came on a Great Lakes ship. Now, this ship, she was the largest ship on North America's Great Lakes and remained the largest to have sunk there. Spoiler alert, she sinks. So she was manned by 29-man crew. Ugh. She was 729 foot long. Just enough, or just short enough, to get into the Sioux Locks was 730 feet. But for 17 years, Fitzgerald, she had a great career for her 17 years. And going back to the launch, she was purchased for $8.4 million in 1958's money. It's a lot of money. But she was purchased by the Northwest Mutual Life Insurance Company and was named after the chairman, Edmund Fitzgerald. And she was launched in June of '58, and it was a terrific launch. Tons of people came. Hell, there was people in the bay with boats and stuff that were like admiring this, spectacle of the largest thing ever dropped into the Great Lakes at the time. And she was, of course, it goes into a little bit of, conspiracy. It did take 3 times to, get the bottle of champagne for her christening to break. But it did break on the 3rd time. She slid into the harbor, and, she crashed into the side of the other side of the dock, and almost looked like she was trying to climb out of the water or whatever. But it was a spectacle nonetheless, for 1958 anyway. And definitely a higher up as far as the engineering goes into that ship. A lot of the Great Lakes freighters before, they had a bad tendency of breaking apart on the Great Lakes. If you haven't heard of them, the Carl D. Bradley and the Daniel J. Morrell, definitely check both those stories out. They're well worth checking out. But they were built in a earlier time in this country. They're not like the Edmund Fitzgerald as far as their construction. Edmund Fitzgerald was of the new era of construction. So she was fairly modern. If she was still here today, she would probably still be out on the lakes. But definitely go check those two other ships out. They're crazy stories. Two guys only survived on the Carl D. Bradley, and only one guy survived on the Daniel J. Morrell, Dennis Hale. Please check his story out. It is well worth the listening, and he has a book. Look it up on Amazon. It's on there. It's an amazing book. But getting back to the Fitz, so we got this red and white, beautiful, like stunning ship for the time. Had air conditioning. Like, they went all out when they built this ship. It had air conditioning. It had offices. It had, a crazy big kitchen. And then it even had like special meeting rooms for like well important guests that went on the ship. And, uh, she was decked out. And I mean, she was, for the time, like the superstar ship. She really was. Like, and she's got tons of names. I mean, the Mighty Fitz, and, the Big Fitz, and Toledo Express, American, the Pride of the American Side. She had a lot of different nicknames, and she was a well-loved ship. People loved her. She was an absolute spectacle when she showed up. Wherever she was, at, people just flocked to see this big, beautiful ship. She'll probably be up here. I'll probably, pipe an image of her up here somewhere. But, that's part of the reason too. I mean, even before our captain that went on this fateful voyage, our previous captain, Captain Peter Polser, he was known for piping music and whatnot out of the loudspeakers and intercom day and night over the ship. And, while she was passing through St. Clair, Detroit Rivers, the Sioux Locks, whatever. Hell, I read an article where he would even pipe the scores of games going on through his intercoms. Not a lot of people had that kind of stuff back then. I mean, they don't have a phone, so they can't just monitor the scores on your phone, like we did. You had to be by a radio or television, and that was it, and he would pipe the scores through there, which is crazy. But she broke a lot of records, record-breaking performance, and, largest loads and stuff like that carried. But yeah, she was basically nicknamed at the time anyway, when Pulsar was in command, she was kind of nicknamed the singing ship. He was kind of the DJ captain, what people called him. And he would even, run commentary about the ship and list facts off to the, as ongoers looked at her as she was going through a lock or something. But fast forwarding into November 1975. November 1975, happened by a different guy, Captain Ernest McSorley. He ran kind of a different ship. McSorley was a good captain. He was good to his crew, but he was also a really good businessman. And he kind of did distance himself a little bit from the crew. But he was a very good businessman and very good captain. And at the time, one of the most respected captains on the lakes. But November 9th, she embarked on her final voyage from Superior, Wisconsin near Duluth, carrying full cargo of taconite ore pellets. And Captain McSorley was in command, and the other 28 crew. She was en route to the steel mill near Detroit, and she was caught in a severe storm later that evening. The storm had hurricane-force winds and waves up to 35 feet. Now, to back up our story a little bit, about, quarter way through the journey, the Arthur M. Anderson, is kind of tagging along with the Edmund Fitzgerald. And they're kind of playing a little game of follow the leader. The heavier, slower Anderson's lagging behind, the Fitzgerald, so they can't. She was about 10 to 20 miles behind the Fitzgerald. They start getting into these seas, and the weather starts getting worse, and they're trying to hug the northern shores of Canada to try and kind of miss this gale a little bit. And while the plan they were hoping would work, it doesn't really work. They still run into a lot of bad weather on the way down. Sometime at 5:30 p.m. the next day, on the 10th, the Edmund Fitzgerald, Captain McSorley, reports difficulty to Captain Bernie Cooper of the Arthur M. Anderson. And he reports that they have a fence rail down, they've lost a couple vents, and they have a starboard list. Now, recanting on another previous article with Bernie Cooper stating that, well, if he had an immediate list, fence rail's down, then maybe he had a stress fracture or bombed out or something. She very well could have over by the 6 Fathom Shoal. We don't know. Nobody will ever know. But he reports he's having difficulty. And over time, these two ships have decent contact. Like, no problems at all as far as contact goes. I believe it was about 6:20 or 6:30 later that night. McSorley contacts Arthur M. Anderson again and says that his radar masts and stuff have been disabled by the storm. They've been broken. So he's sailing blind. He can't see anything. The radar is not working or whatever. So he's using the Anderson's radar to kind of tell where things are at and other ships and whatnot. So again, contact's good. The weather's not the best, and it starts to snow later in the night. So it's like whiteout conditions. The visibility is next to nothing. The only way that the Arthur M. Anderson can keep tabs on the Fitzgerald is by radar. They can't see them anymore because of the snow. And unfortunately, about 7:10 p.m., first mate Morgan Clark on the Arthur M. Anderson, they're talking back and forth about something, and he goes, okay, by the way, how are you making out with your problems? And McSorley replies on the Fitzgerald, we are holding our own and going along like an old shoe. This is the last message from the Fitzgerald at 7:20, 7:30 at night. The Fitzgerald broke apart or suddenly sank, and all 29 men were lost like that. They didn't recover any bodies. They recovered some life rings, life rafts, torn up lifeboat. Looked like a big hand had taken it and torn it in half. But no bodies. The next day, an oil slick was found, and 2 days later, some imaging was pulled up by the U.S. Navy and distinguished two large objects on the sea floor. The Fitzgerald had broke apart, at least underneath the surface. Her wreck, she is broken apart. Nobody knows what's in her at the bottom. Nobody knows, and nobody will ever know. Bruce Hudson was a crew member. His mother said it perfectly. 30 people know, the 29 crew, and God, and no one is talking. That is one of the truest statements there, because no one will ever know what happened to the ship and the guys on her. She is a historical site now. She is in Canadian waters, so you cannot dive on her. The last dive was in 1995, I believe. They recovered the bell and they put a bell back on the ship with all the 29 crew members' names on it. And the actual bell for or from the Edmund Fitzgerald is at a museum at Whitefish Point. But I am not here to talk about what may have sank her or anything like that. This story is purely out of um, information and remembrance, and why you, going into the title card, uh, you should cherish uh, your loved ones. Take time to appreciate the ones you love and the ones you care about, because one day they may not be here. You really, really need to seriously take time to appreciate the ones that you love and care about, and tell them that I love you. Because you don't know when your last day or their last day is. You just don't. Seriously, though, take time to tell the ones that you love them. Because you really don't know. Um, but that is why this story is kind of a piggyback. One, it's a very informative story, and everyone needs to remember these men that died, um, because they are important and they're part of history, and you need to remember them. But the story also blends with the time to, you know, you need to cherish the time that you have with people. Care for the well-being, care about them. Um, I had right before I got out of high school, I had a friend that we did everything together. Um, we were about thick as thieves, I'd say. And I mean, we really did. We did everything together. Worked together, did shit out of work together, got in trouble together sometimes, doing goofy ass shit. Did goofy ass shit with our trucks and stuff like that. We were thick as thieves, and right before high school ended, our senior year, he was just gone, just like that. And I guess looking back now, even year, 2 years ago, even I still think the same way. I guess I took it for granted. And you cannot take it for granted. I try to look at everyone who comes into my life that does mean something to me. I try to look at it like, thank God that God has sent you to me and that I met you, and everyone teaches you a lesson. I mean, some people you meet are assholes and they teach you lessons. Maybe don't act like this or whatever, but it's the simple fact of thanking the Lord that these people were brought to you. And if you love them, tell them that you love them. And he was my best friend, and he was taken away from me like that, like a snap of fingers, and there wasn't nothing I could do about it. And I guess I, at the time, just took it completely for granted. I had tons of other things going on in my life at the time of his passing, and I feel like I neglected him. And we didn't, in the end, didn't do as much together as we did when we were, you know, first becoming of friends. I mean, I had a girl in my life that was completely toxic to my life, and I just hadn't realized it yet. Uh, I had a lot of things going on at work and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess I just took him for granted at the time. And I regret that. I do, because he's not here anymore. And that's the point I'm trying to make is, like, if you got that person in your life, make the best of it. And I know people who lost their parents at a young age, and it was terrible. And losing a parent or losing a child, losing anybody is never easy. But, sometimes at a young age it is very hard. And it's never, never fun at all. It's very, very heartbreaking. But on the upside, you really just have to look at it like, these people, they're part of my life, and I want them in my life, and I want them to know that I give a shit about them, and make sure you tell them. You got parents you care about, tell them that you love them and that you care about them. You got a friend, best friend, girlfriend, significant other. Yeah, tell them you love them, because you just don't know. You really don't. Um, I'm not trying to get dramatic or mellow this out or make this episode sound all mopey, but I'm serious. Like, you know, uh, you just need to make sure that the people that care about you and you care about them know how you feel about these things. You just never know. You really don't. But that's all I really wanted to get about in episode 4. I just, all these men, 29 men, 29 families, children were orphaned, and mothers lost sons, and uh, fathers lost sons, and some uncles, and some friends, and son-in-laws, and 29 like that, just gone. You know, and it really makes you think. Like, I shouldn't. I need to call my mom. I need to call my dad. I need to call my grandma. I need to call my grandpa. I need to call whoever and tell them I love them. Because you should. You're only given one life. Make sure people know that you love them. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 4. Again, I'm not trying to make it all mellow and soppy and whatever, but it was a topic I did want to discuss, and I think it's important. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll probably be coming back fierce with something. I haven't quite drummed up topic just yet for episode 5, but we're gonna come around to something. I'm sure it'll be something crazy, and it's hard telling what it'll be. I don't know. I got to get these 2 published first, so just bear with me again. I'm doing stuff, so well, guys, take care. Hope you like the topic, and we'll see you later. Cheers.